Hi, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Kit.
Welcome to Starry Time, where stars plus lines.
Equal stories.
This is episode 3 on our monthly constellation Andromeda, the Chain Lady. Last week, we reviewed and reconstellationed the myths of this constellation.
In this episode, we share our favorite and least favorite occurrences of this month's constellation in pop culture, broadly defined.
I'm happy to start out with my favorite is a British television science fiction drama from 1961, which is titled A for Andromeda. So in A for Andromeda, it's written by a cosmologist whose name is Fred Hoyle, who is
Mhm.
actually the first astronomer scientist who came up with the term the Big Bang. Anyway, so this movie or this mini series, A for Andromeda, involves first scientists receive an unknown code that they have
Mm.
to figure out, and then they eventually realize that the signal is, of course, coming from the Andromeda Nebula, and it's some sort of computer program.
Mhm.
They eventually build the computer program, aka the machine, and it produces a cyborg clone of
Mhm.
one of the astronomers named Christine.
Uh-huh.
And this creature gets loose, and they have to decide whether or not they should be killing this alien slash AI entity, or whether or not this is something that they should just live and let live. Long story short, a lot of them die,
So this is
and
not a peaceful sentient cyborg robot AI.
but yeah, no, mostly it reminded me just of the very Doctor Who early 60s
Mm.
BBC aesthetic. So that was my favorite. How about
Mm.
you? What was your favorite pop culture appearance of Andromeda?
I want to right off the gate just say that I think we already talked about this, but if for some reason you didn't listen to the Myths and Ret Constellations episode, there is a book called Andromeda's Change, Gender and Interpretation in Victorian Literature and Art by Adrienne Munich. I'm like, does this count as pop culture? It's clearly a academic book applying feminist theory to the depictions of Andromeda, but that I just sort of had to like get out there as
Mhm.
a reference in pop culture that was very influential in terms of our learning about this, but also, in case you, for some reason, inexplicably skipped that episode, and I wanted to mention it before I got started. Like I said, I had a lot of choices for favorites, but I think where I ended up deciding to come down on was a book called The Shadow of Perseus by Claire Heywood. And I just want to, it's basically like a reimagining of the Perseus mythology, and it's told through the women in his story. So his mother, Medusa, and Andromeda. And so this is from the book publisher, and this is just a small segment about what they mention about Andromeda. So it reads Andromeda. When a harsh sandstorm threatens to destroy her nomadic desert tribe's way of life, Andromeda knows that a sacrifice will be required to appease the gods and end the storm. But when
Mm.
a forceful young Perseus interferes, Andromeda's life is set on an entirely new path. I mean, release date February 21st, 2023. So yeah, so I think that's going to be my favorite. So one of my backup favorites, and this kind of intersects with our interest in theme parks, but only indirectly because there's an intersection we've learned through, some of our other interests between theme parks and professional wrestling.
Mhm.
WWE, there's an overlap there. I'm not sure that I sit in that intersection, but I know it exists. And I found while I was looking that there is a professional wrestler and also lucha libre wrestler called Cassandro. And Cassandro also used to go by the stage name Andromeda, and I thought that was cool. Cassandro is also a out gay person, and so yeah, I gay wrestler who went by Andromeda. I thought that was kind of cool,
It's
and
amazing. Yeah, I
yeah.
actually saw that they're making a biopic about this
Oh.
wrestler. And this is in the 80s too, right? So being out as a gay man at that point in time is, yeah, incredible. Cheers to you for being groundbreaking and choosing a pretty awesome stage name as
Mm-hmm.
far as wrestlers go. All right, Kit. So we've gone over our favorites and some of our second favorites. Now let's discuss who our least favorite appearances of pop culture Andromeda may be. And I'm happy to start.
Yeah, get us going.
So my least favorite appearance of Andromeda in pop culture is nothing else but the 1969 book The Andromeda Strain by
Mm-hmm.
Jurassic Park's own
Mm-hmm.
author, Michael Crichton.
Mm.
So this is a novel. I don't know if you're familiar with it or the movie, about an extraterrestrial disease, virus, bacteria that gets
Mm-hmm.
found on Earth, and they have to stop its spread before it, infects and kills everybody. This book, what really I didn't like about it was it's a little bit too real, a little bit too
Mm.
really,
Mm-hmm.
really real. Extraterrestrial disease,
Mm.
contagion that gets loose and kills everybody. That seems highly plausible. How about you? What was your least favorite appearance of Andromeda?
Well, I also Andromeda Strain was on my list. I hadn't read it, but Michael Crichton, a person that as they got older, just yikesies, could have done
Well, he
without
doesn't
some of
believe
that
in climate
commentary.
change, and he doesn't
Right.
believe in global warming.
So that was sort of on my list for that reason. What I ended up going with, I have like a secondary least favorite that, I don't actually know if it's my least favorite, but my true least favorite is the Andromeda class attack cargo ships.
Yes, I
Did
was
you
just reading about those.
I mean, yeah, it's designed to be in war. I don't like their use of Andromeda here. They've sullied the Andromeda name as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, to be fair, it did introduce us to the phrase "attack cargo ship," which
Right.
will probably haunt us for a while now. But yeah, besides that, I can see why that one struck a chord with you as a least favorite. Do you have
Listen, if they
any?
call this the Ares class
Mm-hmm.
attack cargo
Yeah,
ship, I'd be like,
makes sense.
okay, okay.
Well, I did see they have an Artemis class attack cargo
Mm.
ship. How did that make
Mm-hmm.
you feel?
I
Better
would
than
prefer
Andromeda.
Athena, but I'd prefer Athena.
That's why
I
we
have
do this
notes.
pod. Yeah, you have a lot of notes. I think that's a great one. I mean, do you have any other Andromeda things that you found hit the least favorite nerve?
We did actually talk about this one already. We couldn't contain ourselves when we discovered this. So it is the Andromeda TV series based on material written by Gene Roddenberry. It aired from 2000 to 2005. It stars Kevin Sorbo, another person who, as they've aged,
Yeah,
and
well, he certainly thinks he's smarter than everyone else, so I gotta give him credit for that level of confidence.
so it's a space opera, so I'm like kind of interested, and we're gonna watch it and do a report back.
I think we'll be able to offer some critical feedback. We'll see how it has aged. Will it be lauding praise? Will it be shaken head disappointment? We don't know yet.
So that one's on my like, eh. But did you have any other least favorites before we take over this brand?
I did. One was a painting, actually.
Mm.
Broad pop culture. I
Mm-hmm.
sent it to
Mm-hmm.
you. It's Andromeda Chained to the Rocks by Rembrandt.
Oh, oh yeah. Woo! Wow. Rembrandt really. Woo. Oh.
I'm glad you didn't forget. Yeah,
How
I sent it
I
to
don't think
you
anyone could forget that.
about a month ago.
Haunts my
But I've been
dreams.
saving it ever since then for this segment. Yes. This picture alone required me to like reinvestigate his entire catalog.
It's
Cause
it's a
it's
lot.
this picture is,
I'm opening it again so I can look at it.
to me, it's like some 17th century like horror film. His depiction of Andromeda, her face it looks like she has been transformed into a potato and then like just subjected to decades of torture. But this is one of the works of fine art that involve Andromeda. Seek out yourself if that description seemed like something that you're excited about. If you have any other descriptions of this work, I'd love to hear them, Kit.
Most of the painting's fine, and then once you look at the face and then you zoom in on the face, you're like,
Agony.
what? Yeah, like what happened here?
Like for some
Yeah,
reason, she looks a million years
she looks
old.
she has the body of like a 25-year-old and the face of like a 95-year-old. It's and then I can't tell what's happening with her hair. Like I'm like, what is the hair behind you? I'm not sure. I think it is supposed to be behind her, but the way that it's painted is just a little bit weird. There's something weird going on around her shoulders because like her arms are above her head. She's chained obviously to the rock, and there's something that just does not. It's maybe this is just not his best work.
All right, Kit, we've traveled 500 years and back of Andromeda references. Now let's talk about what we wish we could add
Mhm.
to the Andromeda canon. I think it's time for you to start. Would you like to tell me what you wish existed with the Andromeda brand?
Yeah, so I tried this one out with Bop, and he did not instantly get it, but I still think it's really good. So I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna stick with it and propose it here. I'd like to propose Andromeda in Chains, which is
Okay.
a Alice in Chains cover band.
Wow, love it so far. This is really, really good.
And some popular songs. Instead of Man in a Box, it's now going to be about Zeus in a box. Instead
Yep.
of down in a hole, it's Hera in a hole.
Mm-hmm.
And Rotten Apple is it can stay Rotten Apple, but now it's about the golden apple.
Perfect.
And I
Well,
want
I've
to caveat this by saying I don't know anything really about Alice in Chains. So,
I mean, they're a grunge band from the
yep.
90s.
Yes.
In your re-envisioning of Andromeda in Chains, is it all female
Yeah,
band members? Okay, great.
totally.
Because I have
Yep.
seen like Femme Zeppelin where they do things like
Ooh.
that. And always a nice way to sort of reappropriate this like hyper masculine
Mhm.
genre.
So, what did you come up with for your wish for, Jordan?
It's called Andromeda on the Rock. It is
Oh, ooh.
a mixed drink. Yep.
Yes.
Andromeda
Mhm.
on the rocks. Of course, you got the
That's very
rocks.
good.
And then you have gin,
Uh-huh.
ginger ale, and that's it.
I believe that's actually called a gin gin.
Oh, for now it's called Andromeda on the rocks.
Andromeda on the Rocks seems like something that should be served at Mythos, the restaurant in Islands of Adventure. It sounds delicious, except if it's gin, I probably won't like it, but it's a perfect name.
Well, Kit, it's only a matter of time before one of our wishes comes true.
This has been Kit,
And Jordan.
sisters, lovers of stars and stories,
And we'll see you next week.
on Story Time.